Well, I make these creatures which are they're baby-sized, human baby-sized, maybe sometimes a little bit smaller, but they're certainly never larger. Yeah, that's what I do. I've made quite a few. I feel very awkward when I'm not doing anything with my hands. When I'm not making them, I feel a bit anxious, and social situations I find really irksome. Some days I just make loads and loads, and that feels like a good day for me. And I find the constant productivity is really calming. I feel like when I'm making them that I'm actually moving forward in life, and my time's not being wasted because I'm making these things, even though I guess they're not very useful. I mean, they're not very functional objects, but I'm performing, or I'm being functional. I don't know what I'm going to do with all these creatures, but I love them. I find it really hard to part with them.
I get this sort of picture of, me frying onion in my head, right? And what happens is that I just cannot get the thought of frying onion out of my head. And only thing I want to do as soon as I leave work is to go to veggie shop, get onion, and just go home, just fry them. Make it like this insulated brown blob, caramelized blob. That's what I'm striving towards. It makes me feel great. It makes me feel like I've achieved something. Like, reducing 14 onions into a blob that is like size of my fist. People sort of underestimate power of onion too much, and that bothers me.
When I'm surrounded by a lot of text, I mean signs, then I find myself counting up to these really high numbers, like 110 or 120. And after a while I realize that what I'm doing is counting the enclosed spaces within the letters that are printed. So for instance, like a capital A or a capital P or a capital B that has 2 spaces, or a capital G doesn't have an enclosed space in it, but a small g does. In fact, a small g can sometimes have 2 spaces if it's in like the Times New Roman font or something. The more agitated I am, the more I count. From when I was about 6 or 5 until I was about 11 or 12, I had obsessive compulsive disorder and Tourette syndrome. And during that period, I would do the classic Tourette syndrome things like shout out obscenities or in the classroom, or when I was walking down the street, or pretty much say whatever the thing I least wanted to say. I would also have problems if I turned on a light switch and I was feeling agitated, but I would both have to touch the light switch an even number of times. So I couldn't just touch it once and turn it on. I would have to touch it and then touch it again and hold my finger there to then turn it on and off an even amount of times. And I really don't like odd numbers. They make me feel just sort of disturbed or wrong or disgusted. Even when taking lollies out of a packet, for instance, I would always grab, 2 or 4 or 6. And I think that was... Wait, no, I never took 6 because I would have to take 8 or 16 or 32. I would always have to take an even but also doubled amount of lollies each time. And then when I went to high school, I began playing cello. I really found some way of channeling, I guess, all of that kind of nervous anxiety. And then it was just left with this counting numbers and the counting of the spaces inside the letters. That's never gone away. When I got to university and started studying cello and it became my main focus, then I started practicing, 4 or 5 hours a day without any sort of break. And I got repetitive strain injury from playing just too much cello, just too much for my body. So I stopped playing cello. Now I read books.
when I'm in the library, if I come across, I'm quite often reading, and if I come across a naked body, I feel like I should cover it up, so I draw underwear on the bodies. I do that on all the art books mainly because that's where there's mostly naked people. I don't like to see them without underwear. I think that it's not really right. Well, I have to find a really quiet corner of the library and make sure no one's watching. Yeah, I always do it secretively. I've been nearly caught before, and it's quite scary, really. I know I'm doing the wrong thing because it's in the library and they're not my books, but I don't want these people to be seen without their underwear, and I think I wouldn't want to be seen without my underwear. I want them to look nice.